is the 9th of January 2021, and I'm on the west side of my house that I live in, and show you the work I've done and the work I have to do. I'm going to be all probably until spring working on this. But right underneath this plastic and underneath this border here, we got about 7 feet. I think that's 7, 8 feet between the two houses. It's about 16, 14 feet between the houses. Anyway, this all has to be pulled back. All this rock has to be taken out of here. I paid a guy the other day to take all the rock. If you look, now we're looking at the work I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. There's the 6th hole. There's the hotel. It's been up for about a year. And if I go back here, where we're not blinded anymore, you can see the other one off in the distance. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. That one they've been building for about the last 5 months. They framed it up and they're just adding more and more stuff to it every day. A lot of roof work up there. But anyway, getting back to what I'm doing. What we have here, what I inherited or what came with the lot was the builder, instead of being dedicated to getting the water off this lot and onto the golf course by making the lots higher than the golf course, the builder did just the opposite. Even though the builder had a responsibility to make these lots drain, the builder was more or less a golf had golf sympathies for the golf course and decided, well, we're not gonna burden the golf course with all that runoff water from those lots. Even though the plan was designed for the lots to shed water onto the golf course, that plan's been canceled. Okay, that's a dead body, and we're gonna create our own little deal here. So what they did is they made the property lines high. Whatever the engineer, if you see that line of rocks out there, I put those rocks there years ago. Guy at work gave them to me. I used to own this lot right here. I used to own this house. It's been it's turned over twice since I've owned it. I sold it, and then the guy that bought it from me sold it. But this lot, when it was originally built for me and landscaped for me 16 years ago, the builder dedicated the lot to being a retention basin. I'm going to try to show you how it goes uphill. If you look where that plant is, and you look where the patio is, if I can get down low enough, and you follow that property line, let's see, you follow this line right here, you can see that you have to cut down through it like a piece of bread to actually see what they did. But that plant is higher than the patio by at least an inch, 2 inches. That's not supposed to happen. Everything was designed on the plans for the patio to be the highest thing here. And everything was supposed to drop away from the patio to a property line and then onto the golf course. They didn't build it that way. That property line out there, with that line of rocks that I put in there about 7 or 8 years ago, 10 years ago maybe, to identify the lots, I went out and I found the stakes for every lot, and I went out and I got the plans for the lot. I measured everything, so I knew where to put them, And when the satellite view, if you go to the tax map satellite view, those the rocks line up with the line, the property line. So I got it right. But when I sold the house, well, going back, when it rains, it's like a 3-day cycle. It takes 3 days of rain to have a real problem up here. Well, the first day it's a problem, but you don't see it. But 3 days of rain, like we sometimes get, the first day, if it rains all day, this soil here around the patio soaks up the water like a sponge. The second day, if it rains all day, water starts to surface. You start to get little puddles, or you're starting to see where water is near the surface, or it's very dark. And on the third day, if we get that storm, that big storm on the third day, you have a lake that's four feet wide in front of that patio. You have another lake there in front of that patio, and it can't get out. Now, as I look, we'll take another angle at it. Where those cones are is a berm. It was put there by the builder. That patio right there is an inch or two higher than this patio. They were built probably right as far as their elevations. But when it came to having a drop between the patios that are linear, they put a berm between the two. So in front of that air conditioning unit right there, on the third day you get a huge lake. In front of the patio you get a huge lake. It stays there forever. Now, I've spent the last 5 or 6 years doing this job a couple of times, running pipes. I've got gutters. They don't have any gutters. Any water that comes off the house just goes right into the ground. I've got gutters with dedicated drains that get to the golf course. I'm doing everything I can to keep my lot dry, but next door I've got an owner, and I've tried to talk to him. I don't see him much. I figure if I open this up to where he can see, and if I ever get him to see the videos, I got plenty of videos of storms, flash storms, where you see 2 lakes. A lake here, right here, and a lake in front of his patio. What I'm trying to do is diffuse this. If I'm allowed to, I want to take this berm out. You see this berm right here? That berm is keeping everything. And that berm and that uphill trip to that plant out here, that plant you see behind the cone out there on the property line, from that column, there's a berm between the two. Where you see the other plant right here, sort of in the middle of the lot, it's all uphill. That's like a 2-inch climb up to that plant. They put a berm across the lot. Now what I did years ago is I hired an excavator, a guy with a bobcat, and he took out 2 truckloads, big truck dump loads of dirt off this lot. These 2 lots. This one right here, this is where I live. Okay. Where you look where that plant is beyond the cone out there, it was all uphill from the patio. When it used to rain, I used to have lakes everywhere between the cone and the patio, because where the plant was, there was a berm. That plant right there, there was a berm that ran from that plant on my neighbor's yard all the way across over to there. Okay? There was a berm. I had it taken out. It cost me $3,000 to pay a guy with a truck and a bobcat after I did a survey with water level to figure out how much. Now, this property line you see right here, this property line with the plants, that's high. Every property line all the way to Sundance Parkway where that truck is going right now. Every property line along that way is high. They made them all high. I've got proof. I've got the as-built plans. And when they finally got to have a buyer for these 2 lots, there's the first house I bought. I own it now, and I own this one now. So I have 2 lots on the golf course. This is the property line, but it's high. Now, everything was supposed to drop from the 3 houses onto the golf course. It didn't. First of all, they made the property line high all the way from Sundance Parkway all the way to the ditch. It's high. And then beyond the property line, they put a berm between the golf course and the property line. And then between the property line and the patios, they put a berm. Right along where you see this gravel here, that's a water line you're looking at. It's for sprinkler system. Well, right along this water line right here, they had a berm that ran all the way to the ditch. Okay? And they lowered my house 3 inches. This house has a lien on it right now. I get letters from the HOA threatening me that if I don't do what I'm supposed to, like pay my dues and pay my fines and play Simon Says with them every time I want to do something to my lot. If I don't play that game with them, they're going to put a lien against my house. I already have a lien, penalty lien against the house. When they lowered the finished floor elevation, which is in disagreement with the master plan for the community says that house is supposed to be 3 inches higher. It's supposed to be the same elevation as this house. It's not. I have the permit. I actually have the legal document, the signed stamp permit that allowed them to do that. I also have the as-built and the master plans for the community. There is a 3-inch difference. Now, every time I pay my sewer bill and my water bill every month, I'm paying a penalty fee. I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to get across to everybody that I'm trying to sell this house. And I feel 97% of any successful transaction would be honesty and truth. Now, they didn't tell me. Meritage, the HOA, the town of Buckeye, nobody told me that they were going to build this house 3 inches lower than spec for the community plans. Nobody told me that they were going to build this property line high, which they did. That property line high is high all the way. Nobody told me that they were going to put a berm across all 3 of my lots that isolated my lot for drainage, that no water could run onto the golf course, and any raw water that came off these 3 roofs right here would stay up here forever. If we get a week of rain, all it does is rain all day. This becomes a storage battery for water. These 3 lots, it wasn't designed to be that way. It was designed where the lots were supposed to drop away from the patio onto the property line to the golf course that dropped away to that lake. The ultimate retention. It's on the map. That's retention. The lake. And we're supposed to have access to this drainage. And I'm paying a penalty every time I pay my water and sewer bill, because somebody downtown allowed the builder to reduce the pump pressure of a gravity feed system. It's just like having dirty battery terminals on your car. Your car won't start. The mechanic comes out and says, well, you got dirty battery terminals. You weren't getting a full current from the battery. Well, that's what happened when you take 3 inches of gravity away from my sewer pipes over 90 feet. Okay? You understand what you did? I do. Any simpleton would understand that you've just reduced. You put sand in my saddle. You sabotaged my lot and you sabotaged my sewer pipes. And I have to face this every day. What all the other I have to face is I have a golf course. This is a term from a Vietnam term. I never made it to Vietnam, but I was in from 68 to 72 in the Marine Corps. So I served with a lot of people that were there. I never made it. I made it to Japan. But there was always the term that developed during the Vietnam era when somebody got rotated into through attrition when they lost a member of a platoon in a battle and they had to be replaced, and the new guys came in with their brand new uniforms. They stuck out like turds in punch bowls. They were labeled FNGs. Go up to any I won't say it, but just go up to any Vietnam veteran that was there and say, what's an FNG? Well, what we have here is FNG golf management. We have golf management that are FNGs, okay? They have no clue as to what goodwill is. They don't have a clue what goodwill is. By putting that tee box there, right there, and putting them white stakes right there, you are arrogantly in my face. All right? There isn't a lot down here all the way to the street that's got white stakes on it except mine you've identified. And what prompted those white stakes is I made a complaint to the HOA. There was a forum one day and they said, you got any complaints? So I complained about golfers hitting balls in my yard and coming into my yard all the time. So what was the answer the golf course gave to me? They put those white stakes right on my property line. They didn't do it to anybody else. They had to put them here because I'm probably the most vulnerable lot off that tee right there. Day in, day out, whenever I get a broken solar panel, a broken window, or somebody trespasses my lot, what caused it was the proximity of that tee box next to my lot. Anybody get that? Any pro golfers, or all you guys that are in the pro shop FNGs? You can't imagine that all day long I got people hitting in my yard. The thing of it is, you sell one greens fee. This guy right here, he may take 2 or 3 swings. He'll hit 2 or 3 balls. They got a foursome there. That foursome might hit as many as 10 balls before they get off that tee. And I'm in range and downrange of everyone. The golf management knows it. It's even worse for those tees and those tees right there. I got 90 feet of exposure here. This is a store window. I'm being watched all the time. I'm in a fishbowl. I got the HOA going by my house on both sides at least once a week, inspecting my lot to make sure that I'm at storefront. And when somebody hits the ball in my yard, I'm supposed to be sitting here with tea and crumpets as they walk onto my patio to recover their 3rd ball they hit. They hit the first one in the lake. The second one they got a little better, a little farther. They're not satisfied with it. They hit a 3rd one and they take out my window. And then they expect to walk onto my property and get their ball. This is white trash, redneck, white privilege golf. I don't know what else you call it, right? It's been kind of slow here for the last week. Now I know why. They were all in Washington charging the goddamn Capitol. I got golfers here that as soon as they pay their greens fee, they know as a white privileged young West Valley golfer, they can walk on. That gives them the right to walk on any patio out here. They can hit as many balls as they want. They can play the tees that are way over their head and their ability. They can hit as many balls as they want, and they're never going to have to worry about a marshal telling them they're stinking up the place. I'll end it here.